Today is a somewhat exciting day wherein I am going to open up some boxes that I got, and yeah. So I'm not going to do a lot of takes or anything. Sometimes I mess up when I talk, believe it or not, and it takes a couple iterations to get it in a way that is anyway audible or logical. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to open up their boxes over there, and inside is supposed to be some fancy swords, which shouldn't really come as any particular surprise. But the main thing is that this was a little bit of gamble for me. I picked some things up off of old Uncle eBay. I hope it turns out right, because it's always a gamble, because they're supposed to be pretty much brand new. So we'll see if that's the case, if the things were brand new, and if they are, then hooray, and if they are not, then, well, then shit. Alright, so we have a Thaitsuki Nihonto Certificate of Authenticity. Some time ago, really not that long ago, I did a review on the Thaitsuki Nihonto S02, which was not mine, it was a friend of mine's. And then I spotted one on eBay, and then I got it. Now this is supposed to be in new condition, so if I'm talking through my thoughts, I'm looking to see, are there any dings, pings, scratches, nicks, any of that kind of stuff, and at the moment I'm not seeing any. Now the Ito is wrapped in cellophane type stuff right now. I'll take that off probably a little bit later, but I'm just doing a quick glance over. Interesting that this one has the same type of nonsense that I was complaining about in the last, in that this is really thick, this Koiguchi area here, and the Fuchi is relatively small. From what I can feel, it does not feel as though the Ito is particularly tight. So why don't I just check? I'll pull this up a little bit. Well, this is quite a bit tighter than the last one, but I would still say it is not particularly tight. Now, this is the first time I've gotten to see a box that these Thaitsuki came in. This almost looks like carpet padding, but it's pretty effective and not as fall aparty as the average foam stuff is. The silk bag is nice. This one's the blue one, which is pretty much like a replica of the one that I was using before, that my friend had. Except his had a more purple-ish type scabbard. This one is the blue from the video. The Ito, again, I can move it. It's not super tight, I can tell because I can move it. The thickness here is still disproportionately large, so I guess at least they're consistent in that way. It has some sort of oil on it, and it's tough for me to tell. There, you know, what kind of crud this is. I'm gonna have to clean it more thoroughly before I can tell if the blade is rusted or not. But at a rough, quick glance, there's no major pings, chips, or dings in the sword that I can see. Concern about maybe a little bit of rust, but not so much. Ooh, this is okay. And sticks a little bit. Not great here on the tip. Maybe you can see this and hold it straight enough. That looks like it's got a bit of rust on it. But, as disappointing as that is, it's not the end of the world. I will see what I can do by way of addressing it. Feeling wise though, this is something that I noticed after doing the review on the first one. Is that the feeling of the sword in your hand kind of grows on you. It's an appealing feeling sword. So this is a Citadel. This is the Lotus Katana. Notice that it does not have a Sageo, which I'm not quite sure what's up with that, but no Sageo. Couple things I'm noticing right off the bat. First off, this Ito feels tight. I have some extra Makugi in this wrap as well. You can compare to the Thaitsuki, this Koiguchi and this Fuchi right here kind of line up in a way that it's pretty even. The saya feels nice. It has a thin kind of wider and then thinner towards the bottom. Has a nice feel to it. It's very tight. This is one without a bohi, a very pleasant sugata. Very pleasant shape to it. A little more Torizori than what you normally get. I'm not sure if it's Torizori or not, but a curve that seems to flow a little bit more. This one's got choji on it. I don't know what to make of this, the tip back here. Maybe you can see this. The way they come up to the Kisaki is reinforced, sure, but man, that kind of looks a little weird. Okay, though. The other bag, I don't know, it looks like it's like wrapped in linen and then has silk on the inside. It's kind of cool looking. This is the bamboo, I believe. Kind of general first impressions. I like the extra Makugi. The Ito feels very tight. It lines up. Everything feels tight. They did a great job on the transition between the ray skin lacquered here and then this and then the wood. It has a texture to it, but there's no big transition. Again, the profile of the saya is feels good. Wow, that's that feels pretty darn good in the hand right there. That's kind of surprising. Again, it kind of has this weird transition between where the bohi, shinogi. I don't know what to make of that. But pleasant hamon, what I'm looking for right now is just dings, rust, nicks. I don't see any of that. I'll get it looked over a little bit more effectively later. Some other stuff to note, I picked up some chainmail. Came along with this sword, which has a screw-on pommel of some kind. I'm not going to take it off all the way right now, but I'm not sure what this is or who made it. If you have any ideas what this might be. It's more of a costume sword. It's not sharp. It's a little rusted, goofy looking, but it is an example of what terrible feels like in a sword. This feels like a big crowbar. In a nutshell, I picked this up on Craigslist. It was for sale along with some chainmail that I felt compelled to get because I'm a giant nerd, and also because when I do sword testing, if something flies at my head, it'd be nice to, or body, it'd be nice to have some type of protection. Then I also picked this up. This is a Skyjiro Warlord Katana. And secondhand, picked it up from a friend of mine, a fellow practitioner of Toyama-ryu, and I got to do a little bit of cutting with this. I should have a review out of this one in the not too distant future, but it is also a recent acquisition. And just a couple things to note that you'll probably see me point out in the review. Admittedly, before I got this, I was not a very big fan of Skyjiro, and more or less what I had seen is what you might see on the internet looking at pictures, and what I got to handle was pretty minimal. But looking at it in more detail, I mean, I can see that there's not a transition here between the Ito and the Fuchi, or here between the Kashira and the Ito, that the Ito is relatively tight, in most places very tight. Everything on the sword itself is tight. There's some very pleasant stuff to look at. You know, honestly, it's been just kind of a surprising sword, and the more I look it over, the more attention to detail I see they paid within a pretty basic price point. It's like $700, which isn't cheap by any means, but I'm pretty impressed with some of the attention to detail, and that's just, you know, some of the initial thoughts that I have on it. I'll be doing a review in the not too distant future. I opened up a lot of stuff, and honestly, I'm pretty thrilled with how it turned out. I ordered 4 pretty high-end swords from somebody on eBay, and whenever you do that, there's a little bit of risk. Seems like the only issue that I have right now is a little bit of rust on the tip, and I might be able to address that myself with some kind of very non-aggressive metal polish, and we'll see how it goes from there. Let me know if you're interested in any one of them in particular. I could do a review on some of them or not. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Vlog, sword blog. Thanks for watching. Cheers.